Hello everyone, Johnny Hurricane here from GamersHeroes.com, and why don't you sit back, relax, and let me tell you about Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey. Let's get started. Before we go any further, a review copy was provided by the publisher, and we reviewed it on the PlayStation 4. Ancestors begins by showing you the circle of life basically. You see animals catching prey and then becoming the prey. This continues until you settle on a monkey finding a fish. As it tries to bring it back to the colony, the monkey is then attacked by a giant bird. The bird takes out the big monkey and you start playing as a baby monkey. The baby monkey is scared, doesn't know where to go, doesn't know anything, and this is kind of your tutorial. We should also mention that this game does not hold your hand whatsoever. Basically you hide as the baby monkey and then you switch to the big monkey and the game starts for real. Your first task, obviously, you need to go find the baby monkey. Find the baby monkey, bring it back to your settlement, and your journey of evolution begins. You know pretty much nothing at the beginning. You know how to drink, you know how to eat, but you don't know if something's poisonous. You cannot digest mushrooms or meat. You also can't dodge an enemy. You need to take a hit before you can dodge an enemy. This is the very beginning of evolution, and you need to learn literally everything on your own. To do this, you do have to venture outside of your settlement and into the scary jungle where predators are waiting to hunt you, as you saw in the beginning of the game. Your range at first is very limited, but this increases as you become more intelligent and learn more things. It's basic stuff at first, right? You clap rocks together until you break a rock into a grinder or into a sharp rock so you can then crack open coconuts and drink the water from the coconut. It's little things like that the entire game. Ancestors is often measured by small accomplishments as opposed to significant achievements. You learn how to sharpen a stick really early, and then you use that technique for most of the game. It's not a game where you're going to be getting guns or anything like that. It's just basic tools, primitive tools, and every time you progress, you do get a little bit smarter about it, but it's never like the technology improves that much. There are some large leaps. You do eventually begin walking on 2 feet and you learn how to digest. Well, learn is not the right term. You adapt, you evolve to be able to digest protein and mushrooms, things like that. But these are very, very few and far between. At its core, Ancestors is a survival exploration game. You do have to worry about food, water, sleep. You know, if you get poisoned or if you get a broken bone, you have to fix that. Things of that nature. On top of that, you will have to mate with your monkeys so you can get babies. Babies are really the crux of everything in this game because without babies, you do not earn experience. The way you can kind of think of it is like the baby that is on your back is learning through you. As you do these actions, as you do these tools and learn how to fight and things like that, the monkey is processing it. The baby monkey is learning through this. And this makes sense because as you progress, the adult monkeys, the life expectancy of them starts to drop and their stamina starts to drop, means they can't explore as much. You have to then do a generation leap. When the babies become adults, they bring some of that knowledge that you earned previously with you. You get to pick which knowledge you bring with you. It's a limited amount. Normally you'll have 6 points to pick, and from there, the monkeys that were babies and then become adults have to relearn all the skills that you didn't bring forward. Those skills are still unlocked, you just have to spend experience to learn them again. That's not such a big deal, it just gets a little annoying to have to redo it over and over and over again. Now, when you bring the baby monkey with you, this does have other problems. Early on especially, death feels like it's around every corner. One missed branch can result falling to your death, leaving the monkey baby stranded. Giant birds, snakes, tigers, pigs, crocodiles, hyenas, there is an assortment of enemies that are just going to try and kill you because they think they can. And why wouldn't they? You're just a dumb monkey with a stick in your hand and it's a giant crocodile. When you don't know how to fight, you just get hit. There's nothing you can do about it. Your monkey doesn't even know how to dodge right at the beginning. When you learn how to fight, however, combat becomes trivial. It is a joke. If you die, it is because you got greedy or because you got lazy. That's it. Sticks will literally just jam right into the enemy and they'll run away. That's it. You lose the stick, but they're gone. So what you basically end up doing, what I ended up doing, was holding a stick in one hand and a rock in another. Stick, lose the stick. If an enemy attacks me again, I bust him in the head with the rock and then he runs away because the rock doesn't break. This really is one of the game's most significant problems in my eyes. All the early threats, animals, food, falling to death, water, medication, preemptive medication, are eliminated after roughly an hour. Once you learn how the game works and how combat works, nothing is challenging. You can find whatever you need really quickly. Sure, sometimes you'll be stuck in the desert and there's no water around. So what do? You backtrack back to your base, and that's it. You just drink. That's all you do. The only deaths I had in this game was when I fell out of a very large tree and missed a jump. That's it. I never died from starvation or dehydration or sickness. I think an animal got me once in my first, 20 minutes or something. You won't die unless you do something really silly. With all these survival elements basically non-existent, really, you have to rely on the game's progression to keep you going forward, and that is going to be a big hit or miss for people. There is a massive skill tree. I don't want to say that there isn't. It's huge. But a lot of the skills are just basic upgrades. Like, okay, well now you can smell enemies a little further. You can sense enemies a little further. Now you can sense that there are 2 coconuts because it's a batch of coconuts instead of 1 coconut. It's little things. Your dodge time is increased. You can walk on 2 legs for a little longer. You move a little bit quicker in the water. It's all of these little trivial upgrades, and it's just like nothing big. Nothing really feels great. Let's take, for instance, hitting a rock together. You hit a rock together, if they're the same kind of rock together enough times, it'll either become a blade, a knife, or a grinder. You do that enough and you'll unlock a new skill. Well, what you think is probably, I know how to use the rock a little bit better to maybe bash these things in the skull easier. Nah, what you did was you learned how to bash rocks together a little bit easier, so they might not break as fast when you're smashing them together. Biggest problem is that you're going to have to relearn all these skills multiple times. Let me just break down a basic gameplay loop for how I played the game. So you start a new generation of monkeys. First thing you do, you get babies. You need babies to get experience, so you do that. After that, you can look around like, okay, I need to find some food and water. Most likely your camp has that, so you don't have to worry too much. Maybe there's another monkey out in the savannah that you want to bring in, so you go and recruit them. You do a little bit of exploring, and then you go back home. Eventually, you're like, okay, I need to go find a new camp. You don't have to, but that's what I kept doing. Every time I just kept moving my monkeys. So I'd sleep, drink, eat, go find a new home, bring all my monkeys to the new home, next generation. And that is what I did for like 35 hours. Now, I do want to say that there are evolutionary leaps. These leaps are like hundreds of thousands or millions of years. These are significant, I will give you that. You can think of it as, okay, now the monkeys, they walk on 2 feet permanently. They know how to digest food. They can communicate better. They can control their emotions, things like that. But these are very rare. I had 4? I want to say I had 4 in the entirety of my time. And even then, controlling your emotions, something can happen that makes you agitated and you can't do anything about it. So again, it's not really having control, it's just the illusion of control. I do want to say that I didn't have any frame drops. I did run into a couple of bugs. One of them, like I got stuck on a rock. Typical open world game. I got stuck on a rock and I was stuck spinning for a while. I was eventually able to jump out of that. I did have a couple of problems with the way enemies spawned. I'm pretty good at locating where the enemies are and attacking them, but tigers will literally just spawn out of nowhere. Like, you drop your weapons because you need 2 hands to drink, and there's a tiger behind you. Wasn't there a second ago? There it is. It's just a cheap way of adding pressure to you because the game can't do it properly. There's a couple of button prompt issues I had as well. The PS4 controller, holding circle is to intimidate enemies. You stand up, you're like, rah, rah, rah. But if you're too close to camp, that's also the button that you hold to call your entire camp to you. So when you're fighting a tiger and your whole tribe comes out, they might get attacked while you're trying to fight it by yourself. Then the other one was you have to hold X to swing on vines, but holding X is also to jump and grab vines. This would get mixed up sometimes. I couldn't climb certain vines that I wanted to climb. I would just jump off of them. It's something you get used to, but not something you should have to get used to. I do think that Ancestors has some good ideas, but it's got such a slow pace and it's so repetitive that it's going to wear you down quickly. I recommend watching some gameplay before picking this one up. Alright, that'll do it for me. If you liked what you saw, got what you needed, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Later, Gators.